Hey guys, and welcome back to Chaotic TV. We're bringing you a second match from, actually probably the third match from IPL5, WnrRnd1. So these are the players who made it through the open bracket, as well as those who were seeded into the main bracket. In the bottom right, we have the MVP player, the Red Zerg. Everybody knows him, even though his username isn't him. It's DongRaeGu. His opponent, the Orange Protoss. A lesser-known Canadian. He is Infinity 7's TubbytheFat. Yeah, TubbytheFat. We were going to bring you NwrRnd1 versus Leia. Leia actually beat NwrRnd1, but since we couldn't get all three games in the replay pack, I don't feel it's right to show just the two of them. But Leia beat NwrRnd1 2-1, and it's kind of amazing. Leia's a pretty lesser-known American from Root, and formerly known as Puck, if you want to go look her up. But we do have, let me turn on that nameplate. DongRaeGu has not decided to put down a 14 pool yet, so we're going to see that he's probably going to either put it down or keep saving up for that. There it goes. There's the pool. Seeing that there's kind of an early probe from TubbytheFat, and now he's going to just patrol and block off the hatchery that usually comes directly after a pool for a Zerg, unless the Zerg is DongRaeGu loves those early lings, especially speedlings, and does a bit of pressure. Against the Protoss, it's a little lesser known to do that kind of speedling pressure, unless you see that they are going for a fast expand, because Zealots tear up lings, doesn't matter whether they're speedlings or not. Now, if you can get the Zealots to not block this ramp right here, then it'll be a lot easier. But he's going to go for the less safe. TubbytheFat is going to go for the lesser safe Nexus first, and then Cannon, or Forge and then Cannon. So if DongRaeGu had decided to go for like a 9 pool and some pressure, he would have just build order 1. But he was able to chase off the probe that TubbytheFat put there and put down his own hatchery. So now we're going to settle into a little bit more of a normal game. I hope you guys don't mind the new mic. Let me know at feedback@chaotic.tv if you do mind it. I'm still trying to adjust the levels as I listen. There's still, unfortunately, that computer noise that comes from an unshielded wire going into a shaky computer, because I've got loud fans on my gigantic computer. And there's the photon cannon. So we're going to see a little bit more safety coming out of TubbytheFat, but we might actually see a third base coming out of DongRaeGu. This is pretty tricky any way you slice it. Now the probe is going to see it, and that's going to allow some early pressure if TubbytheFat wanted to do, but since he's just turtling up and detonating on a gateway, he's not going to be able to cancel that third or get it to stop building before anything happens. Now, you don't normally see this on the ladder, especially as a gold player like myself, seeing 3 hatch before gas, unless you're playing against a Smurfer, the ever bane of a lower level player's existence, the Smurf. But we're going to have to see a very simple game coming out of these two players. Now, DongRaeGu's Twitter, since we're still trying to kill time here, is MVP DongRaeGu, just spelled out directly as his player ID is on his Korean name. And TubbytheFat is ISTubby_. So it's IsTubby_. I'm sure somebody else has IsTubby as their name, not knowing that IS stands for Infinity 7, which is a pretty decent American or North American team, wearing very cool black and white shirts. But we're just going to see continued drone out of DongRaeGu, and then if he decides to, he can either decide to go into Lingbane Muta if he drops 6 gases down, but since he's only putting down 2 that we can see, he might just drop a Roach Worm, and we'll really see some intense Roach pressure coming out of him. A robotics facility is a bit of a, I don't want to say it's greedy out of TubbytheFat, but he's going to be having problems if he doesn't have enough units over here when the push from DongRaeGu comes through. And it looks like he's going to actually lose this Overlord, which is going to be a problem for him. He's building 2 more behind it, so it's not going to be such a big problem. He is able to get away from it. Now the Stalker is going to chase this Overlord, and if he gets another shot off, it's probably going to... No, it's just out of range. So looks like DongRaeGu has that extra supply for right now, which he needs because roaches are very supply heavy, and the harvester count is still climbing up to the safety 70 of a Zerg player who's doing this kind of 3-base roach push at about 14 or 15 minutes. You can max on roaches as a pro player at 13 minutes if you hit all of your timings and there's nothing wrong like losing an overlord or anything like that. But we're going to see a lot of players actually will kill these rocks and then fully wall off at this higher ground so that they can just simply protect this gigantic breach over here in the 3rd base as a Protoss or as a Terran. But we're going to see a whole lot more gateways coming down for TubbytheFat, and we're going to really have to just wait, I guess. I'm sure this is going to be a gigantic roach push out of DongRaeGu. He's putting down the Evo chambers, and he's going to start getting these upgrades as soon as his gas allows him to, and he continues his roach production behind this. Now, we only have 4 gases on him. A lot of times I see 5 gases, or even the full 6 if they want to go for double upgrades really quickly out of a Zerg player. They forego that extra 6 or 7 roaches and just keep building a whole lot more drones until they get up past 70. You know, you can get up to 76 or 80 if they miscount a little bit, but it does actually get them a little bit more income. But we are going to see phoenixes coming out of TubbytheFat, and he's going to be able to lift a few queens, mess up a few larva injects, which may actually delay the roach push from DongRaeGu pretty well. Since he can't lift the Evo chambers, the spore collars are just going to fall right into place and be able to cancel out any more Phoenix problems after he loses a couple queens. So it's really going to be this push, on the other hand, is going to be problematic for Tubby because he's got 2 openings here, and he's got 2 sentries, and that's going to be good and all, but it's going to be a problem for DongRaeGu, it looks like. With this many zealots, actually, you can see all the zealots that were up here on the ramp, and it looks like he's just going to be pushed back, and he's going to have to wait for even more, even more roaches to come out. But we do see the spore crawlers coming down in all 3 mineral lines. We've got a single one over here, but we are losing how many drones behind this? We've lost 3 workers, but the resources loss count is mostly going to be in overlords, which is going to be a problem because they are slow and they can't get away from this many phoenixes. Look how quickly they are dying. They're not being target fired or Q targeted, so not as many are dying as could possibly happen. Still splitting up the targeting between these 2, and Phoenix do need all 3 to fully target and kill, but we're going to see a retaliation push over here, dropping the creep so that the 3rd base cannot come down for Tubby. He is supply blocked, but he still has more army supply for the MVP player, and the Phoenixes are still going to be trying to be pesky and stuff like that, picking up a roach maybe across the as they move across the map. The assimilators are going down. He did cancel this Nexus, it looks like. And the resources lost tab shows in favor of DongRaeGu, or excuse me, in favor of Tubby, but since Tubby has not built as much as DongRaeGu, I don't know if you can really count that as a win for him. He's actually got infestors coming down. It looks like it's going to be Roachling Infestor, which is going to be a big problem for TubbytheFat. I don't normally see this against Protoss, but that's probably because I haven't watched DongRaeGu play in a while. And since this tourney was over 2 months ago now, its metagame's a little bit behind, but it's still very entertaining to watch and cast, so I hope you guys enjoy it. The Phoenixes are doing what they can. They're at that point where they keep waiting for energy. We only have one that has a single lift on it left, and the the robotics bay and a second robotics facility are coming down. We do not have Colossi yet, but we do not have a Spire either for the MVP player. He's just going to go for this pure Roach and then build a Spire behind it, going for a 4th base, which is going to provide him with extra production as well as extra income. Continued lifts over here are killing off a Roach or 2, everywhere else, but big fungal by those infestors is going to end up cleaning up these Phoenixes' continued fungals, and he's got enough infestors coming across the map that TubbytheFat is going to be under some serious pressure coming anytime soon. Continued Ling pressure actually is going to come in. The upgrades are in favor of, we got 1, and what are the roaches at? They're at +1 damage at 2. But big fungals on those zealots, and the Zerglings are getting torn up by them, but the infested Terrans are going to try to do what they can to clean up the zealots that are over here. The roaches are going to be attacked by this many Immortals, and it looks like this composition by TubbytheFat is going to be able to push back DongRaeGu for a second time. Look how many Zerglings are on the map, though, and the creep spread is starting to continue to cross the map very, very well. The 4th base is down for DongRaeGu. He's starting to put some Spore Crawlers in case there are more Phoenixes coming out, but since there are no more Phoenixes, there's just Colossi coming out. He's going to have to put down a Spire to do any kind of real serious damage. Nope, there's a Banging Nest coming down by DongRaeGu. He has got his 2-2 going for only the attacks on both his kinds of attacks, the melee and range. And he's going to continue to pressure over here. Look how many Zelds are on the map. Even more are going to be warped in probably pretty soon. The very ground-heavy attack base by TubbytheFat is very critical to killing off the exact composition that DongRaeGu has. If DongRaeGu switches into anything else, it's going to be a big problem for TubbytheFat, and now we have this many infested Terrans just doing what they can to get targeted by those Immortals and the Colossi, and now, since he has all that free units by the infested Terrans, he's able to push forward with the remaining Roaches, and he's going to target fire these Colossi down, and there goes one down, and they target fire the farthest one so that he could target fire the second one even quicker. Now look how many probes are getting killed by MVP DongRaeGu, and look at the supply difference. It's 120 difference. Now TubbytheFat decides to GG, and that was a very exciting game. But we're going to jump into game 2 and see if TubbytheFat can come back at all against MVP's DongRaeGu in just a second on Chaotic TV. Cheers.